Stick to that and don't break it, because it makes it a lot easier to procrastinate. You end up wasting a lot more time, and by the end of the summer, you'll start thinking, where did all that time go? You could have the best summer you've ever had. By the end of this video, you'll have the full blueprint to my most productive summer. And if you're able to beat the one thing at the end of this video, you'll be working on a whole different level to most people. First of all, man, summer is literally the perfect time to start something new. If you haven't thought about this, if you're waking up at around midday every single day because you feel like, I've got to relax, it's the summer, you're doing yourself much more damage than you realize, because you're probably taking like 3 or 4 hours off of your day by doing that. If you look at that in terms of working days, that's 21 working days over the entire summer. You haven't been outside, you haven't been meeting up with friends, you haven't done anything exciting, you've just been sleeping. 21 working days. So first thing you need to change to start leveling up is waking up early, between like 5:30 to 7:30. That's what I often find to be a good time to wake up, because you want to get up with the sun, you want to get up naturally. You're probably thinking, I can't be bothered to do that. And you probably won't be 100% consistent with waking up early throughout the whole summer, because that's obviously not completely realistic. But what I would do is set a number of days each week that you are going to wake up early and that you are going to stick to a routine, because that way you can make the most progress, you can have the most fun, you can do more of the things that you want to do over the summer. If you've just been out earlier, you could have made yourself a nice breakfast, been out in the warm sun, worked on some kind of project that you're doing, maybe doing some schoolwork, working on a hobby, boxing, going for a run, whatever. Like, you've got so much time if you wake up earlier. And this leads me to our next point. Whatever you do first thing in the morning, make sure it's not a waste of your time. Make sure it's not Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, whatever, any kind of video game you enjoy playing. Make sure you're not doing that first thing in the morning. Obviously, this is easier said than done, and that's because things like TikTok are designed the way they are to be extremely addictive. So TikTok tries to make you spend as much time as possible in the app. That's how they make their money. Time is money. And I think it was 2023, they made $16.1 billion in 1 year. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of money. And that's just because they had so many users just using the app for long periods of time each day. And that's their goal. They're basically hijacking the part of your brain that you could be using to achieve real rewards over the summer. Things that you would enjoy, like going out with your friends, playing sport, that kind of stuff that gives you dopamine. Instead, you just sat in your bedroom, not getting any sun. You're maybe sitting with a group of people, but you're on your phone anyway, just on TikTok. And you don't realize how many opportunities you're missing out on. One of the things that you need to change this summer is to try to speak to more people. Like, don't be so in your shell, because I know I used to be a bit like that. And when I started realizing I can literally do whatever I want, I can talk to whoever I want, I can pretty much say whatever I want, and it doesn't really matter. Like, no one really cares that much, and everyone's thinking about themselves. Just speak to some people at the gym, speak to some people that you haven't talked to before at like a club you go to or whatever. Don't trick yourself into thinking you're enjoying yourself by being on TikTok for 5 hours a day. Like, while you're there, it feels fun, but 1 or 2 days later, you've forgotten pretty much 100% of what you've watched. Maybe there's one video, but all those other videos that you got a little laugh from, a little dopamine spike, you've completely forgotten about that. It doesn't matter. But if you were to go and have an interaction with someone, you might remember that for the rest of the year, maybe even the rest of your life. That could be like a lifelong friend after that. And you're missing out on, like as I said earlier, you're missing out on so many opportunities by not talking to new people, by not trying new things out and setting new goals over the summer. Before last summer, I was spending probably like 3 or 4 hours on Instagram Reels every day. And I know that sounds bad, but I'm just being honest. And I told myself at the beginning of last summer that I would keep Instagram uninstalled for the whole summer and I wouldn't use it. And still don't use Instagram, and I might come back to it in the future, but I'll be much more careful about what kind of content I'm consuming. And it's made a pretty significant difference in my life. In hindsight, I became much more sociable. I felt less awkward in social situations. Over time, I felt like I had more energy. I felt like I was able to concentrate better, and I felt way more motivated to go and do things in real life. However, to get the most of these benefits, you must absolutely fix one thing, which I'll come to in a second. So do something about TikTok, uninstall it, or just tell yourself you're going to keep it uninstalled for the summer, because it will ruin your summer if you're addicted to it. And I can guarantee you, if you use it for 3-4 weeks, you will become addicted. Now this is level 2 because if you implement this, it will accelerate your progress towards your goals this summer. But you need to listen closely because I don't want you making the same mistake I did. Last summer, I was trying to be really productive and I had no idea what that really meant. I was just trying to cram as much as I could into every day. I was juggling editing, scripting, filming, trying to go to the gym, trying to run an Instagram theme page, which I eventually wanted to link to like a clothing store. I was trying to self-publish on Amazon. And at the end of the day, I would feel so done that I would end up just going to my phone to play some mindless mobile game to try to get some quick dopamine because I felt like I hadn't gotten anything from that day. And this was the big mistake that I made. So moral of the story, focus is critical. Don't try to do so many things at once. Try to really focus on 2 or 3 things this summer and write down goals for those things and make that like your path for the summer, you know what I mean? I decided last summer that I'd narrow my focus to the gym and to my YouTube channel. And the next video I uploaded got 8 times more views than any of my previous videos. And it wasn't just luck. I could tell because I've been doing research why the thumbnail worked, why the content worked, why people were watching that video for longer. And in the gym, I think my bench went from 110 to around 145 pounds. And I was starting to see progress, like real progress, and I really felt like I was enjoying every step of it and I was hanging out with friends. But to know what you want to focus on and to do it efficiently, there's one thing at the foundation of this blueprint that you need to overcome. Now that you've started working on reducing your usage of quick hitting dopamine apps and you've selected what you're going to focus on heavily over the summer, there's one last thing which, if you can use correctly, will amplify your productivity to a league of its own. You might have found that when you skip the gym for 1 to 2 weeks, you find it a lot harder to get back into your routine. And you start to ask yourself questions like, how am I doing this again? I don't really want to go today, and your brain starts coming up with excuses for why you shouldn't go. And the reason that happens is because you've lost all your momentum. And what has happened is your brain starts to have to go back into a manual shift of assessing like the costs and the benefits of going to the gym in that example, rather than just being in an automatic mode where it's a routine. You go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week and that becomes a habit which you eventually just kind of get the momentum of, and you just kind of do that automatically and you don't have to think about the costs and benefits, and your brain doesn't try to come up with excuses as much because it's more of an automatic habit than having to go through a manual process in your head before you can do that action. Any kind of habit disruption will make it a lot easier to procrastinate, and that's why momentum is so crucial in leveling up and building new habits this summer. Now, I did a bit of research on this and I was going to explain like the whole scientific process, but basically you've got 2 parts of the brain, the frontal cortex, which basically is where all those manual processes happen, and there's the other area, the basal ganglia, which is basically the automatic part, where once you build a habit, it goes to that area, makes it a lot more efficient to do the habit, makes it a lot easier. And if you can continue to build a habit and get momentum with it and continue doing it without any habit disruption, it will get easier to do that habit. So over the summer, I want you to write down, it's probably going to be those things that you said you focus on, but write down specific steps or specific behaviors that you will do to work on those things you want to focus on, that you will do every single day, no matter what. Stick to that and don't break it, because if once you get a habit disruption, it makes it a lot easier to procrastinate, you end up wasting a lot more time, and by the end of the summer, you'll start thinking, where did all that time go? So make sure that you've got some habits that you're going to build, you're going to stick to over the summer, no matter what. Because momentum is basically what is needed to build a habit effectively, and it makes it so much easier to make progress. Now here's the bit I said I'd come to at the end of the video, and it's the foundation of this blueprint. You must take action and get out of your comfort zone. If I hadn't got out of my comfort zone last summer, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you. I wouldn't have my YouTube channel. I wouldn't have gone to a new gym with a bunch of guys I'd never met before. I wouldn't have had all those memories last year, and I would have missed out on so much stuff. This summer, you've got X amount of weeks to make a change. And what happens over the summer is partially your choice and partially just out of fate. But you need to start thinking of this as if you have control over what you do this summer, because you do, and every action compounds on top of each other. I'm planning on doing the exact same thing this year, getting out of my comfort zone, trying new things out, meeting new people, and I want to have a great summer. And I'm actually going to try to film as much of that as I can and put it on my YouTube channel, maybe do like a weekly vlog. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but that's just to encourage you guys to get out of your comfort zone, try something new, Try to build yourself, try to build some productive, positive habits. Have a great summer. And if you're still here watching at the end, you've done yourself a massive favor. Thank you so much. And I will see you whenever I see you. Peace.